Show timing now?
We are show timing now, just when you said that. Very well timed. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Might and Delight's Fireside, when we try to talk a bit about with the developers, answer your questions, and sort out and let you know everything you want to know about Book of Travels. And you can, of course, follow us on social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all you see. Follow us here, and we will be really happy. But now I should introduce you to my guest here. This is Dennis Gustafsson, who is the lead narrative game designer. I think we agreed your title were. It sounds very, very cool.
It says that on my contract. I'm not really sure what it means, but I'm trying to work it out. Thank you for having me. So if you hear tapping in this room, there's actually two other people working here, like a game designer, Beta, and also the creative director, Jacob. But they promised to keep it down.
So it's in the middle of the action. Yeah.
You're right in the middle of the core reactor at the moment. We're working back to back, filling the world with events and NPCs and stuff. All the fun stuff is happening now.
Okay, and I'm just going to say also, I'm Anna. I'm a marketing, press, and PR person, so that's why I'm here. And feel free to ask us questions, especially now since Dennis is sitting like on the bridge of Book of Travels. Are you all? How is the kind of atmosphere in that room? Are you all like very excited, or is it like tense and a bit stressed?
No, we're having a lot of fun. We've reached the point when all the technical things have reached sort of a point where we can actually start doing inputting events and NPCs and dialogues and things, and they come out as they should. So we are basically scripting the game experience. It's based on a lot of random events because the game is sort of infinite in its workout, but it's especially now we're working on the onboarding. There's NPCs and things that guides and leads the player. We're wanting to make an onboarding rather than have too much of a tutorial to have in the beginning, that the players are kind of have many options to go and explore, and by doing that they will learn the different systems and things like that on the fly.
So could you gossip about a specific, like it's only you and me here and YouTube, but
really? I'll tell you where to find the secret weapons.
Yeah, no, but a specific event or specific NPC or something that has happened that you designed like now or today?
At this very moment, there is a trading outpost called Batsaha, which is quite tricky to get to, but it's kind of it has some nicknames. It's called the Pearl of the Verb, which is an internal sea in British Shore. It's also called a cauldron because it's so full of traders and things. And in the outskirts, if you go searching, you could find some shady entrepreneurs that can tell you about something called the night market, which is you can find on Tuesday nights in a certain place. And there you can find like something that's contraband and things that the council, the government kind of doesn't want to go around. So you can find some exciting things there. But the funny thing is that that market is only in a certain weekday. So a fun anecdote maybe is we're testing that event today. And since they are on the way on Tuesday going to this market themselves, the NPCs, we just scripted it and we tested it. We went out to where they are. It's like a bridge and the boat is gone. What happened to event? It doesn't work. Oh, yes. The day they're going is actually Tuesday. And that's today. That's why they weren't there. So we have to go into the engine and say, okay, you have to be here just so we can check out that it works. Yeah. So now I gave away the day, but don't tell anyone.
Okay, so
for instance, it's stuff like that. I mean, quite fun things happen like that where we are amaze ourselves.
So then if the chat here has any suggestions, I think this is a very good time to come with them if you have any crazy ideas on night market or anything. So, but when you sit there, are you like, okay, so what we should what should we figure out today, or what should we?
Yeah, like, how does it work? I mean, it's fairly systematic. We have a blackboard. We have a plan. The onboarding, for instance, that we're doing now. You create your character, and then you choose how you enter the world. There's a few certain ways. It's quite open, where you like prisoner, or did you were in a shipwreck, and then you kind of form the start of your journey there, and you end up meeting people that will give you hints of where to go. So we kind of done that, and then as the game opens up, you will have a lot of options to pursue. Because as you probably know, we're not making a game where there's a sort of a check off list of missions to do to drive the story forward. We're more interested in trying to make a game that becomes like a game master for anyone who's played pen and paper role-playing games, that basically services your role-playing experience. So you can choose to go on adventures, but it's not linear in that kind of sense. We rather want the world to be able to react to what the players do. And then by playing that way, you can discover adventures to go to and things to explore and clues to pursue and so on. And then as we develop this game in seasons, we'll be able to see what the players have done and things, and move the world on based on the plans of the NPCs, because the players are not superheroes that the world swivels around. They're special, but they are not like the ones who drive it. There's powerful NPCs that drives the world events, and the players, affect parts of it. So it's a challenge as well. It's a challenge to get that right, and we're still exploring how to do it and how to make it feel and right, and to have the correct balance.
Because this is an early access, we will see in August as well. So you will be working for this for a long time to come, and adjusting those little things.
Exactly, and collecting feedback. And there is a list of things that we have planned to put in. For instance, if you look at the backers, for instance, you can see the list of there's going to be things that's added because the backing was so successful. So we might have something that you can see, like for instance, someone might be building a shop, and that shop, when that is done, will be able to start off a certain feature that's been promised later when that date comes. So you might already see in the world narratively that this person is collecting things, and maybe the players can help out to make it happen sooner. It's a lot of different things. So I don't know exactly what to focus on.
But now I'm guessing it's early access focus, and then it will be.
Yeah, maybe it's the basic experience. So the world is limited. Some of the sort of extra features it's planned for later, but we're looking for the core loops and the experience, the overall experience, and multiplayer, and how much do people work together, and how much do they go solo, all the things. Because I think it's going to be a rather unique experience, and therefore we can't know. We have to be humble and not think that we know all the answers, which makes it fun.
And you will be open for a lot of feedback, I think, when the game is out. I've heard about this.
Yes, of course.
You should come with feedback. And now we have at least 4 questions here that I should. So the CJ asked, how many players per server is there going to be? Do we know that?
We are bouncing around numbers, but it's less than 10-ish, something. That's what we're looking for. We're not really sure, but we're looking for a small number, especially in the early access when the world is small. And then we might expand it, because we really don't want this place to be overcrowded. We want every meeting to be special. So it might sound like a ridiculously small number to other MMOs. This is a TMO. And how do we solve then if certain players want to meet up in the world and to reach that number? There's still some challenges, but our ambition is really to keep it small, so that when you meet someone, or you need to meet someone, it's almost like a quest. And that's where the role-playing ties in. You need to get people on your side. Help me out with this thing, or things like that.
Okay. So somewhere under 10. I hope that answer was as good. And if one has played pen and paper, it's still like quite a lot with 10 compared to like 4 or 5 adventures.
Yes, but that's only if everyone chooses to go together in a group. And I don't think, what I've seen, people don't want to do that. I tend to be kind of a solo player, but then you will need, every player is kind of limited in their skill set. You can be a generalist, but then you won't have some peak performance things, and some things, quests, puzzles, things might need like super special skills, or you'll have several people with some of these skills, and the sum will add up. For instance, or you might come to a raft that needs 4 people to push it to an island. Then there is a magic that you could do, maybe to decrease that number.
We have actually about that a question here from Kaslos, I think. Are there going to be different events for 2 or more random players that end up joining each other? I think this is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, the events, the world will not care, won't conform to what the players do. So it just some events won't be able to be opened by a single player. Maybe, for instance, you have a shrine where you need quite a large amount of spirituality to open your mind and release the forces there to give you a buff or open up a secret. Then you could be, if you're like a specialist character that has lots of spirituality, you probably don't have anything of the other ones, like the strength and the technical and the social skills. You could probably do that on your own, but you will need help to do all the other things. This is just an extreme example. But there could be 3 players that have a little bit of spirituality, and together as a group, they can do it. But if you are alone and you can't do that, then you won't be able to do it unless you come up with other means to increase your spirituality. There is brews, there could be objects, there could be things. So it's about solving. I mean, I think people will go together because they seem to like each other, and the role playing. I'm hoping that we create a world that's believable, and the systems are there to support the gameplay, but the role playing aspect will draw players together, because I want to play this role, and I would like to play it together with other people who plays their roles, who like me to play my role as a shepherd or something, and together we have adventures, like the pen and paper team up of the same people, same sort of feel for what you want to experiment. It sounds a bit fluffy, but we're trying to use, and if we can support that with systems, that's kind of a dream to me, to actually reward players who go in to play for the role-playing experience, to support that.
Yeah, and as someone who is LARPed alone in a prison cell for a few hours, you need other people. If you're going to role-play, it's funnier if you're more. I can tell you that from experience. But yes, let's see. I'm going to do more questions.
You can join, but you don't join as a permanent team. If you travel together, the game will see you as a bit of a party, but you're always free to leave. And I imagine it could be like a pair playing and meeting up with 1 or 2 others, and then they do something together. They go off and explore a cave or something, and then they could go their separate ways.
Okay, I'm going to do some questions here because we had a lot. Oh, wait, wrong question. I wanted this one, was the first one. Would Contraband include special rare regions? Now we're in a totally new subject here, but I figured that.
It's all the same subject. It could be. It could be some regions. The world is run by councils who have the people's benefit at heart. So there are, for instance, some regions and some that, if they are prepared in certain ways, can actually be addictive and things. So they've made them so they're actually they're considered contraband. So if they will take it away from you, or customs will take them if they find them. So there are things like that is not sort of accepted in the social structure. So that's one of the things.
We also have a question for you here that I think, when we talk about role-playing here, are you a dungeon master or game master in your free time?
I've spent most of my life, since I was about 13, to be a dungeon master, or dungeon keeper, game master. Yeah, from the earliest Swedish version of Dungeons & Dragons called Drakar och Demoner, and then a game called Mutant, which is kind of a post-Holocaust, but turn of the century weird thing. So I tend to become the game master. I haven't done as much playing as game mastering, and I think that's where I've learned most of my skills as a game designer and a narrative designer, is the way you work with game systems to enforce the theme of the role playing. And you also, I think I've learned to take what the players kind of want and merge it with what I would like to express, and somehow get get the ball rolling. And I love the great challenge of steering the players down the path of where the prepared adventures and drama is without them feeling locked in. I love that challenge.
I'm guessing that's everyone who designs for interactivities. They're kind of, the challenge. Like, how do I do what the players want without telling them? So or what I want them to. Yeah. Anyhow, let's move on to, we have a localization with the islands of the verb being quite isolated from the mainland. Are those that live there a bit peculiar or different from those on the mainland?
Yes, they're kind of proud of it as well.
Okay. So it's a recommendation as a destination if you want to go there.
Oh, definitely. It's also a bustling. It's a trade outpost. So it's a place if you might require something that doesn't grow locally, because there's a survival aspect, and there's a bit of a, if you want to make brew teas to empower you to do those certain things, you might need regions or other items. And some of them you can't find in nature. You probably need to buy them from a foreign merchant. And I would say Batsaha is the great place to start.
Okay, excellent. Now we're going to talk a bit about music, because we have here we have Jan Monk saying that I've read that we'll be able to play music together. Can you tell us about the music system? Do you have this? I'm gonna next fireside we're gonna talk to the music designer of Book of Travel, Josef, but that's August 17th. But what can you say something about this question now, or are you saying pass?
Well, I can say that music. I play a bit of music, and I think it'll be music is a great part of the to set the tone in the game. And we have skills for music for the players, and our ambition is to make a proper music system where you play together. We haven't worked out a system where do you actually play together, like a keyboard, or do we just play out songs? So how do players do the voicing? We have some ideas, and we are still exploring it. And I think the game would be it would be very sad not to include that as soon as we may, because that's such a social. Because we communicate with emotes, because we don't want the words. The same reason why we don't have choices in dialogues. You basically, NPCs will speak to you, and depending on certain factors, maybe it could be what they have to say, and have they met you before? What level are you? Do you carry something that influences them? But you don't have the choices that you can choose things you ask, because as soon as you have a game like that, those choices becomes often so repetitive, and they're always choices that you haven't decided. And to me, it breaks the fourth wall. I don't know, you probably played an adventure game where the choices are framed in a way. I would never say that. That's not what I want to say. And we are streamlining that. We're sort of taking that out of the loop to make it more immersive. It'll be more limiting in that way, that we don't have those choices. But I think it'll win out for imagination.
But maybe this won't be in the early access. Then it sounds that maybe it will happen later.
I doubt it, unfortunately. I wonder if it actually is on the timeline for the. I don't have it in my head for the post early access. Do you know, Anna? Do you have it?
I have it somewhere. It's a spreadsheet somewhere, but I don't dare to go around muffling on my computer and then suddenly oh, here I found something, blah, blah, blah. Oh, this was super secret. Oh, sorry. So I'm it would have to be, but yeah.
Super secret sounds interesting.
I don't know.
I want to hear
it. Know. Yeah, I'm guessing you're the one who knows most. But we'll...
I know what I know. I know my part.
But I'm guessing just to set expectations right, maybe there won't be that much of the playing music together in early access.
No, and if it's there, it'll be very simple, like you just playing music and then from your instrument, if that.
But we had is it possible to have an instrument as part of your starting equipment? Do you know that?
I've seen the equipments, beautiful drawings of them. I can't promise you if we put them in your packs without you be able to using them might feel a bit off. But that's one of the things that we're just testing at the moment. We're constantly trying out things, calibrating. So I have no exact answer.
Okay, then we jump subject from the music, and we'll see. And we're always open to suggestion. I'm thinking all of you here in the chat have a direct line now into the bridge of Might and Delight where the magic happens. So give us your ideas. But now we're going to talk about friendship. KDB is asking, is there any element of friendship, relationship development in a party, for example, bonus date together or meeting again? And I'm also thinking all communication will be with emotes, right?
Yes, certain skills like whistling when the music comes in and stuff like that. Yes, it'll be with emotes. That's interesting. You can consider here. So we already have, depending on if you're an introvert or an extrovert, when you choose your perks and your disabilities, I wouldn't call it introvert a disability. That's a perk, of course. That will actually affect a lot of things. So an introvert will actually be more tired traveling in a group. An extrovert will be tired being alone. So there are some things like that already in there. But it's a very interesting concept to... I think we're expecting that as being a kind of a role-playing element, but I will definitely put that in my little notebook for a mechanic for the game to remember if players have traveled a long time, if there's some kind of bond. That's very interesting. Yeah, good idea. Thank you for that.
Okay, so we'll see what happens. Yes, let's see. Here we have about the servers. Are there different events, unique things that will happen once or will happen every multiple times in the same server? Like, I'm thinking they're trying to understand server events and so on.
I guess the answer is yes to both. I mean, there's, for instance, like you could come across a bandit camp, and you can come across bandit camps in different places, and that could be considered the same, but it can be different. What they are they protecting? Are they robbing people? Are they just protecting a stash? And that they have random parameters, so you don't know if it's like 2 or 5 bandits, and then there are more unique ones. So it's a mix of both. And what we want to do, we want to to get this sort of infinity ambition is to use certain systems where the smaller parts is randomized within them, so that they're not exact copies. Because that's something we don't like. That's what goes back to why we don't have questions, because when you ask the same questions, the repetition, you feel like it becomes very gamey, and we kind of want to hide the game and bring forth the role-playing. Although we do like, I mean, everyone likes XPs and leveling up and stuff. So the good stuff that we like from RPGs, we don't try to shy away from it being an RPG, because we are all RPG lovers. But it's a balance. We constantly discuss what should be hidden and what should at least sort of be brought forth.
People are bouncing with joy. So I think it was a good answer.
Great to hear.
Yes, very great. Then we have, because you said about characters, so that the character customization only based on what your form is, or will there be more options to customize your in-game avatar? Nora is asking this.
The form is just like a base, like you would be a thief or a paladin or a warrior or a knight, and then there are different settings. So there's the different skills, and you have some characters have less amount of skills they can have, and you have to swap them out, and some can have more. There's several parts that brings the strengths and the weaknesses to a character. As like I said before, some could be very specialist, like an old master could be like super good at something and not have much else space for something else. And the different sort of did we call them affinities? We're always trying to find words to describe. There's like 4. There's physical, mechanical, spiritual, social. They are sort of little stats, if you will, that's a bit separate from the rest, that you get depending on what form, you can get different amount of points to put on different amount of things. And then our ambition is also to have more customization, visual customization down the road. Am I forgetting something?
I don't know, but when I tried it, I remember like the kind of start as actually a lot of fun, because sometimes it's like, yeah, you can choose hair color, but here, I don't know. I who like drama in my role playing, I'm like, yeah, of course I'm going to be self-destructive, whatever it was. It was kind of bad self-esteem. It was like I chose all the negative side. I don't remember
Thank
which
you.
one it was.
I remember. Yes, there are
And I'm
certain
like, yeah, my
abilities.
character is going to be super, feeling self-pity. I don't remember. It was one of those. Not
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not choosing like I'm the hero, I'm awesome. I was like, yeah, I'm a bit awkward in some
Yes,
weird
you have
ways.
to choose. I can't remember if you choose a couple. Depending on the form, you choose a few, like your background, for instance, and things like that has also a gameplay.
Mm.
So someone who's like grown up in the city, they will move a bit faster in town and stuff like that. And someone who's very sort of grown into the wild will have a longer range where they can detect plants and things. So there is some background choices that you make that will affect the gameplay, and you'll have to choose a few drawbacks as well.
Yeah.
Then there's this like star signs, and like we have the four winds. It's kind of a religious, spiritual society in the way that the winds are very powerful. The winds have actual magical forces, and depending on what wind you're born under, or if you're super weird and happen to be born when there's no wind, but super rare, then you will have certain efficiencies. Because efficiency, that's a complicated word. You'll be skilled differently doing magic and things that depends on certain winds, and that will also separate. So if you're four characters but you're almost the same, but depending on what wind you're born under, you might not be able to do the same spell or not as well. And there's a multitude of things. And there's the star sign, which some of these things have to do with your personality. And again, we're working with that blend of role playing up to the character, but we also want systems to back it up, because
But it seemed to me, who loves role playing, I was like, yes, there's so many choices here. I remember it as a very positive.
Exactly, and there are certain spells. I mean, I don't know. We have teas, which there's a brew mastery. It's kind of they make magic brews. They tend to have a longer lasting effects. Where you can actually something called no personality, where you're allowed to peek into the personality selections of other players and see. So someone might be acting really tough, but you can see maybe they have like nervous on their form. This is a nervous person, which means they will be the last one to activate in battle and things. So there's actually some characteristics which makes you predictably act in a certain way. You can't act. There's a stubborn character, for instance. He or she cannot be the first one to disengage from battle. You can't, because you're stubborn. So stuff like that is really funny. I don't want to be in this fight. Everyone else has left. I have to wait till the last one leaves because I'm stubborn.
You have a stubborn character, like learn to live with it. But I think this is fun, and I think this will make the game like come alive. And we're gonna talk about communication, because we had another communications, because you will commune with emote, and those emotes will be heart and hello, and I don't know what will they be more.
I mean, there's a lot, and there's some you will have to experience things to learn them as well as you go along. So you'll have a limited selection. If you're a shy character, you have very small emotes. And if you're loud and bombastic, your emotes will be big. Which has to put everything into a little role-playing aspect. There's no runic system planned. What would Aerosoth think would be the benefit for that? That's interesting to hear.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm going with another question, because they're coming here, and where it's fun. And here's about how long the day and night cycles are in the game. Are they dependent on the day of the week, or is it some? Yeah. How does day and night work?
This person has probably kept track of our discussions in the past, because this is something that has changed a lot. We used to have like the night should only be this amount long because it's more dangerous, but we decided to go with the Gregorian calendar. So every week day will connect with the worldly weekdays, and the same with the time. We will shift it a bit though, so that everyone who happens to work in the mornings never can play the night. I'm not sure where the night might actually begin at 8 or 7 or something. It's going to be slightly skewed, so that depending on, no matter what lifestyle you live, and if you have a job or a student, you'll still be able to catch day and night. But it'll be match up with the real world, because that's the only way. There's a lot of things that happens, like the night market. Did I divulge the night market already? There's other things that happens in certain days. So you might have someone, this stranger always goes to the lighthouse to measure the height of the waves on a certain day or a certain time, a certain hour even, so that we are using that quite a bit.
Yeah, so quite a bit, day and night. This is like interviewing God. I'm like, God, how did you do
seasons,
this day
though,
and night?
The seasons
Continue.
The seasons will change in the way that there's 2 words for seasons. So the winter, summer, autumn, we don't have that in the pipeline yet. The seasons that we have are basically like update seasons, but there we're also talking about to have a winter and have an autumn and have a summer, and they will probably be of different length. We might do like the chapter 0, which is a season, might be a bit long now because it's early access, but then we might season 1 might just be 3 or 4 months, and then chapter 2 is like 6 months, depending on how much extra content and stuff we have in there. So that would be depending on how we feel about it. Sounds a bit what we think would be the most suitable. And then you can't, of course, this game keeps moving on, so you can't play season 0 once it's over. It's over. So if you come in season 3, that's all. You will never see seasons 1 and 2. And there's actually some items, and when the pet shop gets finished in Batsaha, spoiler alert, you get unique things that that only exists in certain seasons. They won't come after that season either. So you might have someone who has like a pet, something weird that no one knows where it came from. It might be a season 2 creature.
That's
and
cool.
You'll be the only one having it, and it'll be stored as we have something called heirlooms, which you can store, that you will keep even if your character dies away or you finish up for the life cycle. Those things that you found, you can always have in your future characters as well, because we want to. I mean, it sucks if you found something cool and then you just stuff like that. We're trying to juggle all the good stuff. And
here we have about the time zone. It's the same. And Dapple here, let's ask: is can they select the servers from other regions, or regions locked?
This one I am not qualified to ask. So if that could be kept for the more technical, smart people.
Then you get this question. We say pass on this, and
yes,
follow us on Steam. Yeah, follow us on Steam, and there will be Steam posts and so on. But I'm guessing you can probably bring it to the technical team as well. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm thinking about if there's problems. I haven't done an MMO game before, so I am constantly relearning and things like how is this working? Oh, it's because the update rates it has to be online all the time. Oh.
Yeah. Then I'm thinking this is a question for you, and it's a bit but I'm thinking it's a good, like, you get to explain how are you planning this game not to be boring? Is it all about the stories itself, or the quest is kind of sandbox? Then the person is trying to figure out what they'll do in the game. But I've seen that this person is also very excited about the game. This person is also hyped. So I'm feeling like this person is a very kind person. Yeah, kind question. What do you do in the game? Can you? Yeah.
Well, there's where do I start? So it's basically you'll be your character, and you will want to improve that character in certain ways, which means you'll have to travel, and if you travel, you will have to survive. and there is conflict, and there is fighting, and there is starvation, and there is obstacles that you can or cannot do alone, and you might need certain skills or certain items to proceed. This very role-playing gamey, except we don't have that core narrative like a movie or a book where we assume that the lead character drives the narrative of the world. Instead, the world drives the lead narratives of some major players and groups, and then the players interact with NPCs and so on in there. So for instance, there's like some larger mysteries. I mean, it's very Moomin Valley, it's very friendly and very charming in the beginning, but there's a darkness that will rise. So yeah, there's going to be conflict and permadeath, and it's going to be quite scary. You have to be prepared. So I don't think you'll be bored. I hope not. Otherwise, you have to write in, and we will try and unbore you.
Then the three musketeers in the room there will gather and like figure out more events.
Yeah. No, but it's an interesting question. What is boring to some people as well?
Yeah.
Because you won't be able to push a narrative if you think a story with cutscenes and things excites you.
Yeah. But I can ask another question. Yeah. It's because it's also like taste. We all feel different, but I think if you're into role playing, this seems like the game for you. But here we have someone who has an idea. This person Aldacora want to collect feathers and then release them in places of important events. Will collecting small items be as a hobby be possible? I love this idea. This is very Book of Traveling, I would say. Like, yeah. And different colors of feathers we could have from different birds in different regions of the era.
That would be set up in certain requirements. I mean, you can always collect. Everyone will have a little train master's chest by a railway station. I don't know if that's a secret or not, but you can store all the items that you can't carry around because depending on your backpack, you have a limited storage space. But placing things in the world and activating things, we don't have anything that you on your own reconnaissance can do that at the moment. But ideas are welcome.
Yeah. And this feels like a very book. You can have them in your hat, so you can see where in which you have traveled or something. I don't know. I'm just making things up. I have no power here.
Players leaving messages to other. There are certain instead of like billboards in Braided Shore. Every town or village have a little knot board where people tie knots. They might need for help, or a cat's run away or something. Yeah. You can go there and take a look. Oh, is this something I can do? And one of our ideas is for players to put messages for each other and so on. It's not implemented yet, but that's one of the things to try and meet requirements. There's also places where players probably will meet quite often, like a hub and so on. But placing items down is interesting. Yeah, it can easily destroy the balance if people can give things to each other. Because if you have to support the player being able to find the jade key. Yeah. But if they could just drop it and someone can walk around with 18 jade keys, it doesn't really work in an MMO. And to me, it will work in a single player adventure. So there are some things that you can't really do because it will spoil the experience or unbalance, make it super easy for someone struggled like for a week to reach somewhere, and then someone finds the 4 jade keys. So that there is some interesting game design challenges in this actually.
Yeah, but I think here we have someone else who's interested in holidays, houses, and possibly gardening.
Holidays away from the game.
No, holidays in the game. I don't know. Go to the beach.
Yep. This is something that we are discussing the value of certain things. I love gardening. That would be on my top priority.
That would be amazing. And then you can like grow plant. Yeah.
Like planting a seed and getting your own regions, for instance.
Yeah. Okay. I have a more technical question as well. Maybe this is maybe this is not for you, but I thought it's still like, can we host? Pass. Okay. We'll have, I promise, I think it's in September. We do this every 4th week. Every 4th Tuesday, you can come back and you will see me and some poor person I put a lot of questions to. And in September, we have the technical crew coming. They were like, we will talk to you after early access, Anna, not before. We need to work before. Okay, see if I have some more comments here.
I should listen in to the technical discussions. Maybe I'll learn something.
Here we have a question about if there will be some kind of fan wiki. Do we know this? I don't know. I don't think I do either.
Well, we've it's interesting with Meadow, actually. There's so much stories going on. And I think that we will probably play on this as being something that we will take for granted that it happens. So maybe obscure things will be shared and people give them, other people hints and their stories. I would love for people to share their stories. It wouldn't it be great if people can actually record and then show like, oh, we did this together. So many ideas. Yeah, the wiki is interesting. I mean, people will put up a wiki on their own, I guess. So I should talk to Helen whether we actually were interested in running one. It can be good. I mean, it could be beneficial. It could be like a lore book on that you can add from the game. So I don't know. What do people think? Would they want to play it or would they want to share? I mean, they're going to do it. People are going to do it anyway. If they like the world and like the game, they're going to put up things they know and put up because there's going to be some clues and things for the sort of, I wouldn't call it a main plot, but there are some main things that makes the world develop, and it might be good and beneficial for the players to learn stuff about that. I don't know. What would the fans will do it? What can we stop fans to do a wiki? But the question is if we do an official one. Don't know.
I don't know.
I'm
thinking this was supposed to be like we ask you a question, but I feel this is like the idea we're brainstorming you, so you can turn around to Jacob and Beto and you're like, hey, I have this new idea. How about gardening? And they're like, we're trying to work. We're trying to get done. No more. But here we have it. This is not a question. This is someone who has noticed your little friend in the back, which I think is very cute.
That's my Hobbits. I was involved in kickstarting the Swedish translation of the complete Calvin and Hobbes. And since Waterson, all respect to the master, does not allow any merchandise because he doesn't want his characters to be seen in settings and where he doesn't think they belong, I ordered this from an American lady who made it for me.
Oh.
And I thought to give me confidence, he should be here as well, supporting me. He's got my back.
Yeah. Here we have someone who says on there maybe an official forum to share a story of your character could be cool. Let's see what happens with that. I think we talked about that.
That's on your table, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Not on exactly mine, but it's been it's a suggestions.
All our tables. I mean, that's great with Might and Delight, right? There's so few of us that everything that we,
Yeah, and I think this is actually there's been a document that we pushed upstairs, and we'll see what the upstairs think.
On the attic. No one talks about who lives in the attic.
Yeah, but see when they get back, and we'll see what we do. Let's see. I'm going to do the last question. Then I think we should actually wrap this up. The last question is about magic. And then it seems like So, how can you develop magic? Can you summon other creatures? Could you tell us a bit about magic?
Yes, you can summon other creatures. You can turn into other creatures. At the moment, there's spells, and there's the spells. There's brews. That can do things, and then there's not spells. So not spells basically are like the spells you would cast in a D&D or something. You might have a spell book, but in this world, there's a language of making, and no one knows all the words of making, but some creatures might know a few words. But by using the language of making the certain words of power, and you tie a knot, the symbol movement and the shape of the knot is a bit like runes, so that binds power as well. And then you add usually a regent or something into the knot, and you basically make a spell but that's stored, so you can keep them on you in inventory. And then to release a spell, you will just open the knot. So before you go into the wild, for instance, you might prepare shelter knots to cover you from the rain. You might, have something to scare away animals. So you can make all these magical knots and to ready you for the trip ahead. And then brews, they normally need to be drunk and warm. So if you camp, you make your brew, you drink it, and the brews tend to have a longer effect. So you might increase your stamina or make you less easy to spot for predators and so on. And then there's wind magic, which is very rare for players to learn. That there is a certain class, I would call it a mystic, called a wind voice, who speaks through the winds. And there are some very special things there, but let's leave that for a bit later. So you got the knots and you got the brews. That's what's going to be the magic from the player side to start off.
I think this is an excellent place to end up. We end up.
And if you travel as a group by a campsite, everyone shares. Because whenever there's a built-in, if someone drinks tea, you drink together. If someone eats something, some of that is spread around. You break the bread with your little team. So it's all about finding friends that you want to adventure together with, and then share stuff.
Excellent. Okay. I think our time is getting up, and thank you so much for everybody that tuned in. In 4 weeks exactly, 4:00 Tuesdays or 10 a.m. if you're in the States in New York, 4:00 if you're in Sweden, or like 3:00 if you're UK, whatever those time zones are. Find us. We are always here every 4th week, and you can ask all your questions. Next time, we're going to have Josef, our music master. You can also follow us on social media. And of course, wishlist the game on Steam, because then we're very happy, especially me who's marketing. We are looking at the wishlist number. So we are like, yes, more wishlists. And here people are exciting. This was really nice. So do you want to say something, last words, or should we just say goodbye?
No, I'm going to go and start working on a lockbox. Technical endeavor. And the night market as well.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
Which will be placed in the charwood. Char is the word for black. There are different words for char is the word for coal, black. Charwood forest sounds a bit like Robin Hood, but that's a dark place. Don't go there when you're level 1. Wait until you have a few teas in your tummy. I don't know.
Excellent. Then thank you very much for taking the time to answer the questions I'm saying too here. And
you're welcome.
Go back to work with the other people and create amazing game. And we will see in August. Very exciting. Then bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.